Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today on Family Firearm Reviews, we're going to check out a tried and true Smith & Wesson M&P 45. Now this is not the 2.0, this is the old 45 that they had prior to making some of the upgrades to the 2.0. This was a police carry firearm, so this was a surplus firearm that we were able to pick up. It was about $350. So it does have some carry wear on it, but it was what our state police used for a time. It does have a 10-round magazine capacity, so 10 plus 1 in that 45 today as we go through this. Now, some of the features that we have are the barrel length, and we have a 4.5-inch barrel length. We have an overall length of 8.05 inches, which is a pretty large firearm. Now we have a height here of 5.5 inches. We have a width of 1.2 inches. We have an overall weight of 29.1, which is actually pretty close to the metal M&P 2.0 that we just reviewed a few weeks ago. Now, what else is pretty nice is we have a nice safety on the trigger, and you can see right here, as we depress that trigger, we have about a 6.5 pound trigger pull. There is no external safety on this firearm, so when you do let that out, it takes up quite a bit before you're back on that trigger. So there's a lot of take up in this firearm, which is something that I wouldn't have expected, especially for a carry firearm, for something that our state police or other people would have used. Now the slide stop, slide release is ambidextrous. You can swap your mag release, so that's nothing big. Just like all the other Smith & Wessons we have out there, it has some generous features for it. Some of the features on the firearm itself are we do have driftable sights, so we can adjust them. Make them perfect for us. It has a nice coating on the frame. The lower is polymer, and it does have interchangeable back straps that you can change to fit your hand better, to give you better ergonomics when you are out there firing. We do have no spots on the side though where you could ride a gas pedal, so that's a little different. I think they upgraded that when they made the 2.0 models. We do have a full front pick rail, so we could throw light, laser, anything we would want out there. We do have the typical 3-dot sights on our firearm, so that's pretty easy, and we do have our chamber indicator right on top. So these are all great features that we've come to know and love from Smith & Wesson. A little bit of old technology that they've built upon. So we're going to shoot one of these. I've only ever shot the 2.0s, so now I'm going to shoot one of the tried and trues, one of the originals, and I'm telling you, it feels good. It feels pretty smooth, even though it was duty carried, which means it was carried every day, but probably not a lot of rounds through. So it's going to be a nice firearm for us today. So we're going to do our typical 150 rounds to the firearm. We're going to shoot some Fiocchi 230 grains. We did get some Winchester range ammo, so it's supposed to have a little bit less recoil. So we're going to test that out and see if the 230 grains between this and that feel a little different. And then we are going to run some steel case. I was able to pick some steel case up on bulk, so we do have some Blazer steel 45 ACPs that we're going to run through this. I'm not always a huge fan of steel, but I think coming from Blazer rather than that too low ammo, I think we'll get a little bit better accuracy out of this today. So let's get to the fun stuff. Let's get out to the range and test this buddy out. We just finished up our 150 rounds through our 45 S&W, and I had a good time shooting it today. The trigger was a little much. It's not as nice as some of the new bladed triggers. The safety is right there on the bottom. So sometimes when I'm squeezing it and you're depressing that trigger safety, it kind of threw my shot off a little bit, so I got comfortable. The grip, even though we have the large one on there, feels pretty good in your hand. You can get good real estate on this. There's really nowhere to put your thumb unless you put it on the takedown lever on the other side of the firearm. So that's kind of what I use as a reference point, but it does give you a lot of room for that support hand when you get it on there. So getting it in there, getting some good real estate, and being able to ride this up nice and high because the grip is fairly large. Recoil wasn't that bad. We had the soft shooting ammo, which made it feel a little better. The steel ammo was probably the most recoil and the dirtiest. You can see we've got quite a bit of soot towards the front of that barrel. But I felt that, accuracy, all in all, this firearm felt pretty good for being a used, carry duty firearm for a few years. What'd you think?
So, as far as accuracy for me, with it being a 45, I knew that it was going to be a little off for me. It's not what I shoot best, and I always have some issues if I'm pushing and I'm anticipating recoil, and I'm just not totally there. Overall, though, the grip on the gun, how it feels in the hand, shooting with it, all of that was actually pretty good, and I was pleasantly impressed with everything. Like you said, not having that real gas pedal spot, I ended up pulling my thumb down to the side of the trigger guard here, and then every time that I pulled the trigger, I was cutting my thumb with my nail a little bit. So it's just little tweaks that I would have to work on placement, but like you said, there's lots of real estate on the gun, so I have a lot of options, and I think that there's probably some potential for me continuing to shoot this, which is cool for a 45, because normally I'm one and done.
So the weight is pretty high. I think we were in that 29 ounces, and even the new all-metal Smith & Wesson 9 is around 30 ounces. So the weight is high, which helps with that recoil. It's the polymer lower, that metal slide. It really was very nice to rack. Lauren had no issues, believe it or not.
Yeah, none at all. I can use my trick and push it down. I could even rack this one from the front, which I was really impressed with.
One thing we did notice when getting the mag in, if you did have the slide forward and you were trying to place the mag in and it was loaded, you really got to give it that extra smack or else it wouldn't seat fully. So we just spent a lot of the day just already leaving it pre-racked, getting it in there. But if you're in a situation where it doesn't cycle the whole way or you want a tactical reload during a shoot, you're going to have to spend time doing that. Getting attacked by a bee while we're on camera. Stupid bees. So if you are going to tack reload, that's something you're going to have to consider, that when the slide is forward, getting that in there with that fully loaded mag, you're going to have to give that base plate a good smack to make sure it's seated all the way. I know today one time I put the mag in and I racked it and I looked and the chamber indicator was empty. I looked down and I had a little gap here about this much where the mag doesn't fall out. So the mag does usually fall freely, but you can see if you're bumping it, you're going to have to strip it. There are no cuts to strip it out, which is another downside. Something would have been nice to put it in there, especially if this was a duty firearm, to be able to strip that. But all in all, it was a good firearm. I had a good review today. I had a good time shooting it. I mean, the recoil was not nearly as much as I thought. The highest recoil was out of the steel ammo. This one definitely did. You could feel the difference of the muzzle flip, the felt recoil into your hands. And then the Fiocchi was a little hot. You could definitely tell that had some push behind it. They were all 230 grain rounds today, and it all went through the firearm with no issues, no malfunctions, no light primer strikes or anything like that. So I think we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to call it a day, but we appreciate your time, and I hope you really like the review.
Thanks for watching our video. Make sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. If you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel.
Comment below. We want to hear from you. Get more content from Family Firearm Reviews by joining our Patreon and checking out the links in the description.